students, I'm Chirag and we are ready for the session 2. So today we're going to be learning about the storyboard and the syntax of Objective-C that we would be using with iOS, and then we would be also be like going over like we would be adding actual code like to our iOS today, because yesterday we just like went over a quick like tutorial over how to make your first application. So today we will actually add the code to our iOS apps. So let's start the same thing that we do. Make a new project, single view application, select iOS application, single view application, hit next, and then you just name it my second app, hit next, and then as you all know, desktop is the best place to save your application. Now I want to go over like few details. So I discussed this yesterday as well, and I'm gonna go over today also. So this is my view controller. This is the place like where my code will go. This is the storyboard. This is the place where I will have my all my widgets that you can say, if you understand this. This is my inspector that you can see over here. So this is my inspector that you can see over here, and this is all my widgets. So you can add switches, page controller, stepper, horizontal, table view cell, collection view. All these objects can be added, and then so there are more properties that we will discuss later on. This is known as inspector, and then we have this properties thing that we're gonna be studying later. And this is the debugger that you can see. You will learn these things when we go further. So you can hide it using these buttons if you want like a bigger view. So right now we're gonna be just using the view controller .h and .m. Right now we like won't be going any further. Okay, my app is so and then inside when you hit the blue button, you're gonna see the settings. So in this one you can adjust like whatever you want, and so I have an account, so you can also get the developer account. It is for $100, but you don't really need it if you're not planning to upload your applications. Okay, so back to the view controller, and this is your main storyboard. And let's remove the inspector window, and this is the assistant editor. So with this one you can open two files at one time. Like this is my storyboard, and like so I want to open two files. So I have the view controller.h over here, and then I have view controller.m over here. So these ones are my two files that I have opened right now. Okay, so now we will make an application. Okay, so a few things that I wanted to discuss with you. Okay, this is your identity inspector. So for right now just take my word, and we're gonna start with the view controller. So all your code will go inside the view controller.m, inside the view did load over here, and then all the declarations of the variables will come over here in your .h file. Okay, so you have the declarations of all your variables in the .h file, and then you have implementation of the code. That means your actual code will go inside your .m file. Okay, so a few things about iOS. So iOS SDK uses Objective-C, but it is not like C++ and Java. So the execution is not from top to bottom or bottom to top. So in the iOS, the execution goes in loops. Your application never ends because it is running in loops. So we're gonna be coding in these functions, these methods, because they continue in loops. So one thing that you're gonna be doing is using Nslogs. So if you have used C, so you know gonna be using that, you know how to use printfs. So now we're gonna be using Nslogs. I'm gonna say hi, this is my second app, and and then what will happen, so as soon as my application is loaded, so this method is called, and this Nslog will be printed out. Let's see. Always run your application for iPhone 5 simulator. So let's have the simulator over here. Okay. So you can see this over here that we have the hi, this is my second application. No problem, we can run it again. So as soon as the application gets loaded, so this will get print out. This is my second application. So in our iOS SDK, we're gonna be using Nslogs to print out our statements. This is my second application, and with Nslog you can also print out your variables or whatever you feel like. Okay, so view did load. So this method is called before the application is loaded, and we have another method. You have to type it out. It's void view did appear. You're gonna see it automatically. So, and this method is called after the application is loaded onto your screen. So we can do nslog. This is my view did appear. So we're gonna see that the view did load is called first, and then the view did appear is called. I will run my application. Hi, so this is what happened. So my view did load was called first, and this Nslog was printed out, and then my view did appear is called second, and then this my method is called, and this Nslog is printed out. And this method void did receive memory warning. Don't really focus on this one right now. So this is linked to the memory management. If suppose you have like a memory retain or a memory leakage, so this method like sends this memory warning to you. But mostly right now it's all automatically allocated and deallocated, so you won't be really like going over like these stuff a lot. Okay, so a few more things. So yesterday we in the session 1 we added 2 buttons, so let's do the same thing again. So we're gonna be adding button. Okay, and then we're gonna be adding 2 buttons. Okay, so these are my 2 buttons, and let's make the background some other color. Let's go to the inspector. So hit this inspector, like to get the properties, and let's make it red. And these buttons, let's make it some other color. So you can select the color of these buttons as purple, or green, and the second button is orange. Okay, so now we have selected these 2 buttons. So now we will link these buttons to our code. How do you link it? So go to your .h file, view controller.h. Okay, once you're over here, click on this button, hit Control on your keyboard, and then drag the mouse from over here to here. Okay, so I will do it again for you. So how you do it? So you are on the storyboard, then you click this this assistant editor. So this will open 2 files for you. So now you can navigate through all your files. So you can go to the automatic if you need it, like just look for your files wherever they are. I want to go to the view controller.h and hit this method, hit this class, this file. And once you are inside the view controller.h, hit this button, and press the control key on your keyboard, and then drag your mouse from button to this file. Okay, and then in the connection, select action instead of outlet, and the name, button 1. I will name it as button 1, and then say connect. Okay, and then so you do the same thing, hit on this button, press control on your keyboard, and then drag it from the storyboard to this view controller.h, and say and change this outlet to action, and say button 2, and hit connect. Okay, and over here I will change the name to button 1 and this one to button 2. Okay, so now I have two buttons, and then I will go inside the view controller.m, and once you go inside the view controller.m, you will see like when you like connect these buttons, you will get these two methods. So we will do this nslog again to show like the buttons are connected. Button 1 is pressed, button 2 is pressed. Okay, so like this it will happen. So now you have iPhone 5. Now just run your application. Okay, so see what happens. As soon as I click my first button, the method is called and it says button 1 is pressed, and with 2 it will say button 2 is pressed. So we have successfully added code to both of these methods. Now you'll see this thing that your application never ends, your application never kills, because your code is going in loops. So it will always be running and running until you close the simulator or you end the application. Okay, so see, it will keep on going. Okay, so let's end the simulator, and now let's play with some more objects, storyboard objects. So let's add a text field. Okay, a text field. And now the same thing, so let's make the connection. Go to your .h file, hit control, and then say my text field, say connect. Okay, so now this is a property IB outlet, because this one has no action to it. This is just to show or to get something. You cannot have a action on it, so you won't be even having a method. Okay, so in view control.m you have no methods for this IB outlets. So text field, they are all IB outlets, and these buttons are of type IB action. Now I just want to display something on the text field, so I can say self.text field. That's my text field.txt equals to button 1, and then for the second button I will say self.text field. That's my text field.text equals to button 2. Okay, let's run the application. Let's see what happens. Where's the application? Okay, so when I hit the button, you can see like the text is changing inside the text field now. Button 1, button 2, and it's also like printing it in the log. So we have successfully started to learn about storyboard. So your storyboard is like a GUI development environment to add your widgets. So there are so many of them. We will go over slowly, so you can just keep on adding it, like button, label. You can also add like a labels also to display. So basically like what we did was right now is actually the job of a label. Label is used to display stuff, and text field is used to like get something back. Switch, you already know, activity indicator, stepper, image view collection. Yeah, we're gonna be using mostly all of it slowly and slowly. Okay, so a few more things about our Xcode project. Right now app delegate, like we're gonna talk about it in detail later. Viewcontroller.h. So viewcontroller.h has the interface. So this is the main interface. So the interface will contain the main will contain all your declarations of your application. And then this is the implementation will contain the code, the implementation of all the methods, the whole code and everything. And right now we are just working with one view. Later we would be making several views, and then we will be talking about these views in detail. But for right now, just take my word and just keep on following it. Okay, so I made a few slides for today. Let's go over the slides. So what we learn in this course, we're gonna learn to make cool apps and easy to build every like complex applications. So slowly and slowly we will climb the ladder. Don't worry, just keep on working with me. If there's a will, there's a way. uh, and the best part about a mobile app development is that the results live inside your pocket. Like suppose if someone asks you what do you do, I just open my phone and I show them my application. That's what I do, buddy. You should do it too. And then it's super easy, super fun to like upload it on the app store. I'm gonna go through every step in detail. We're gonna be also making an application and uploading it onto the app store. And then this is the new market, the mobile app development. If you know how to make mobile apps, you are guaranteed to have a job right now. Just contact me if you're looking for a job and you know how to make apps for iOS or Android. Just contact me. So platform. So the tools we'll be using is Xcode. Language would be Objective C. Framework we're going to be using is Foundation, Core Data, MapKit, and many more. Design strategies. This is the design pattern. We're going to be using MVC, Delegate, Observer, and many more design patterns. So iOS SDK is uses Objective C. Objective C is nothing but just it is a superset of C, but it has like a bit difference in the syntax, but not a lot. Overall, it is just like C++. So you're gonna be learning over more concept of properties. So in our iOS SDK, we do have variable declarations, but still we prefer to declare properties. Properties are just simply they are like variables, but you get the setter and getter methods for the variables. So people who know Java, they would be very familiar to it. That the setter and getter methods come along with the uh, like with these properties. So you don't have to make your own setter and getter methods. They are by default. Okay. So this is a common way. So that looks like the Objective C. So you have these .h file and .m file. This is the .m file and this is the .h file. So inside .h file you have the interface which will have declarations of all your variables and methods, and this is the .m file which will have the implementation of all your methods. Okay, so right now we are not going into the concept of public and private. Okay, let's skip this. So this is the main thing that I wanted to go over today, the syntax. So let's have syntax and then so let's declare some methods and get started for today. Okay, so let's open our application again. I hope I'm not going slow. Just comment below if you guys think that I'm going pretty fast. Let me know. I can speed it down. So now we want to make a function. Let's make a method by return type void. Just say name. Let's have method, and then okay, in our iOS we don't really use underscores, and we follow this naming convention that the first letter of the first variable has to be small of all the instances, and the second letter has to be capital. Method method Chirag, because that's my name. So we made a method, and now we're gonna dot m, and then we're gonna paste this method. Okay, so woohoo, my first application is method is written down. So let's have Nslog and then say method method chirag is called. Okay, but now you want to call this method. Now how will you call this method? So I have to call it from somewhere. Okay, so let's do this. So let's call it from our button 1. Okay, so let's remove this line Nslog, and then let's comment out these lines. Okay, so from our button 1 we have to call this method. Okay, let's delete it from here. So from our button 1 method, if I want to call this method chirag, how will I call this? The way you say is self space method chirag. This is the syntax or Objective-C that we have to follow. So inside square brackets, the first is the instance, the object, and then is the property or the method name. So right now, since this is my object name, since we are calling the method of the same instance that we are working inside, so we have to say self and then space, because this is my instance is the self, and then I hit space and then I say the method name, the method chirag. That's what I want to call, and this one should say method chirag is called. Understand again, this is the syntax of Objective-C. We have square brackets open, then we have the instance name, and the instance can be of this class. Instance has to be of this class because we are working inside this class, so you call the instance of this class, and then you call the method what you want to call. So I say self method chirag. This is syntax of Objective-C. Okay, let's run our project. So from button 1 I'm calling my method chirag. Okay, so let's see if it works. Yeah, it works. Method chirag is called. Method chirag is called. Method chirag is called. Okay, now let's make a method with an input type. Okay, so I also want to send one input to it. So how I do it? It's a int a. Okay, uh, then so when I call this method I have to also send a value 5. That's how you call a method, self method chirag 5. Okay, so what will happen? So now I'm also sending an input value, a method to the input value. Okay,
So now how to get two inputs into one method. So right now we made this method. So this one takes just one input. Okay, so let's have this input A. That's the syntax, input A. But now I also want like two inputs. Right now I'm just having my input A as over here, right? So now I also want to send two inputs over here. Now how will I do? In Objective-C, the way is you divide the name into two parts. So now your name is method chirag. Wait, the system is hang. Input B. That's how. So your name is method chirag. Do this method chirag, and then your input is input A, input B. So that's how you do in Objective-C. The method name gets divided into two parts. As many inputs there are, in those many parts, the method name would be divided. Okay? And the same thing we have to follow over here. So it's method chirag, input B. And now we have to send two inputs from over here also. and then we say 6. So now we want to print. Method Chirag is called. Now the same way we print in any other language, input a %d, then say input b %d, input a comma input b. So I'm gonna go over the code again. So we just have one method with two input parameters. The method name is method Chirag, and then we have two input parameters, input a and then input b. And then once we are inside this method, we are printing these two input parameters, input a and input b, and that is it. This is my simulator, and as soon as I will press the button, these method will be called. Yeah, so just take a while to compile. See, so the method is called with input a 5 and input b is 6. Okay, so you have successfully added code to your first button, and then you're calling methods to from the first button. Now we come into the concept of variables. So if you want to declare variables, you can declare the variables inside the methods as well. So inside button 1 I can say int a equals to 7, int b, int or variable var equals to 9. Or I can also declare it, like if I want to use it like in the whole class of viewcontroller.m, so I can also have it over here. I can say int a equals to 7. So now I can just use this variable all over. I do have this error. Okay, yeah, you can't give values probably over here. Yeah, you can't give values in your .h file. So what happens? So over here you can just simply use it. I don't think you should be able to use it. So now to send the method, you can just say a equals to 7, and now just simply you can send a, and over here you can have int a comma b. So I declared my two variables, and over here I can say a equals to 7, b equals to 9, and then we have a, and then we have b. So we have successfully made two variables. So these are public variables because this is in the .h file, and then in the viewcontroller.m we can just print it out like this.